Yo, 1-2 is happening. Yo, this DJ Muggs live from LA, man. Make sure to check me out on Bootleg Kev podcast.
Yo, Bootleg Kev podcast, special guest in here. One of the greatest producers to ever live, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't do a lot of interviews, so I feel very privileged to be sitting down with DJ Muggs.
What's happening, brother?
Welcome, man.
How you feeling? Thanks for having me, man. Hell yeah.
Soul Assassins 3, Death Valley is out.
Yeah, man.
And what a track listing. Wow. Man.
Some motherfuckers on there.
Some motherfuckers on there for real.
Yeah, some of my favorite new rappers, man, like, you know, Bodie James.
Shout out to Bodie. Shit, you got Ghostface on there.
TF. Oh, yeah, then we got some of the classics and shit, yeah. Ghost and Gun.
Shout out to TF, man. I was going to say, like, it's crazy because I remember the Source advertisements for the very first Soul Assassins album, which was, what, 97 or 98?
97, yeah, man. So,
like, fast forward, I don't even want to talk about how many years that is because it'll age you and me a lot. But for you, like, what has changed about putting together a Soul Assassins album after, 25 years later or whatever it is? And what kind of still fuels you to be so passionate about this shit? Because you are active still to this day. You're always dropping projects, joint projects, working with up-and-coming artists, man.
Yeah, part one was... Back then, it was pre-mixtapes. Mm-hmm. Before mixtapes got really crazy. So doing a record like this was something unique. You know what I mean? There was only a few motherfuckers doing that where a lot of people was asking me to do tracks for them for their albums. And I was like, man, I'm good, man. I just rather just build my group and do my shit. But y'all can come and be on my shit. Mm-hmm. Then once the mixtape era kicked off, everything was just mixtapes. So then it was nothing really special about making these records no more because you can go get a fly-ass mixtape.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
So I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to do another one. So I record all the time. So recording, the homies come through, record, stacking songs. And I was like, oh, I got some shit right here. What am I going to do? And I was like, I had 3 or 4 different ideas of the way to put it out. And then I was just going to probably drop a song every 2 months for the next 3 years. And then Gold Watch came through, and I was like, yo, I need you to help me figure something out, man. I need to build something visually for this record because I don't feel like just doing videos.
Yeah, the video, I only saw the trailer, but the trailer looked like a fucking full-fledged cinematic experience.
100%. And I was like, I'm tired of videos, man. What can we do, bro? Because I'm not putting this record out. I was like, let's build something that's like 10, 15 minutes long. He's like, man, that's going to be hard. And I was like, shit. And we started. We shot in... pre-prep for like a month. Ended up shooting in Death Valley, Oakland, San Francisco, Vegas, LA, and ended up being a 34-minute movie.
Crazy.
Yeah, we shot videos. We shot music videos, and they're in the movie on the TV, like in the trap house. Mayhem's videos on the TV in the trap house. Rock Marcy's building a bomb.
That's crazy.
And his video. I'm watching his video in my house while he's building a bomb. In the video, I'm holding the bomb.
That's fucking crazy.
So it's psychedelic. It's like, I don't know if you're familiar with Alejandro Jodorowsky. So I compare it more like a Jodorowsky meets Pink Floyd with hip-hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like like you said, back in the day, what you did was unique. And I feel like in today's climate, doing a 34-minute like mini movie is unique as well. And we've seen like movies to go along with albums. But I feel like people don't do that shit no more because they're like so... worried about like the microwavable attention span of people instead of like, yo, let me do something dope, unique, creative.
Yeah, I did it for me, man. I can give a fuck, you know what I mean? I did it all for me. Like, how can I keep myself entertained?
Yeah.
And how can I do something that's just fun just to get up and do every day? Some a little challenging, some I ain't done before. So that was the driving force behind it for me. You know what I mean? I done did everything I've set out to do years ago. So, just keep tricking my brain and stretching myself and having a good time doing this shit.
Is that what keeps you going? Is like, I'm doing this for me, really. Like
I do it for me, but at the same time, man, I love the kind of music we make, this underground hip hop shit that it's nothing different than I've always made. But I figure I can come here now and just champion what's going on and just build this culture and make it bigger and stretch it, make it stronger. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And inspire the youth, and then also give guidance and let them tap into my fan base, you know what I mean? And grab some of these youngsters and like show them the way.
Yeah, it's been dope to see like your run just continue. And I just had this talk with Al recently because I'm always trying to push rappers to do albums with Alchemist that I just did this with Jadakiss on the podcast. I was like, why haven't you done a whole album with Alchemist?
No shit. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
But like to see you like, you're like always working with artists and like doing like full-fledged like bodies of work, whether it's like Jay Worthy or Mayhem Loren, like you're very much like, it feels like you're still in your peak and you're still like you said, the underground shit has changed over the years. The quote unquote underground hip hop shit has definitely changed from what like it might have been in like 2000, 2001 or whatever. But like you're still like fully engaged and like pushing that culture. And like to me that's very dope because just from a DJ perspective, like I find the little things that keep me still like motivated and engaged to try to like still listen to new artists. You know what I mean? And so it's just dope to see you still, fully fucking in it, bro. So.
Yeah, man. I'm, just having a good time, man, and just be able to just hang out and kick it with the homies and talk some shit. You know what I mean?
What was the homage to Death Valley? Why Soul Assassins 3 Death Valley on this?
Because that's the title of the movie.
Okay, that's the movie. Okay, so the
movie.
34-minute movie that comes with it
is Death Valley. It's the hottest fucking place on earth.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's and one of the things in the movie is I left LA to get away from the heat. Go to Death Valley.
Yeah.
It's ironic, right?
It's very ironic for sure. What was for you? Because there's always so many. When you have so many moving parts on a body of work, when it comes to getting artists to like sign off on stuff, do you have to deal with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, a lot of everybody on this record, I've had relationships with them in the past, so it was pretty easy, man. It was pretty. This record was pretty easy. There was nothing crazy.
Yeah, and also like a lot of guys are independent, right? Or some sort of independent.
And they run in the game a little bit different these days. Like, before dealing with majors and dealing with labels and the sign-offs and the clearances and the sample clearances, shit was a headache. A lot of times right now you can be under the radar with a lot of this shit. And
Static Selector always told me, because I was always like, hey, bro, like, you guys clear these samples? And he's like, man, look, bro. He's like, we just let shit fly. And if we got to get it cleared later, that means it's doing something.
Basically. If it's under a certain number, they ain't even coming. They ain't wasting their time,
Right. It's like...
And if it pops off later, then, it's all good.
Well, what sucks, dude, is like, I don't know if you've experienced this from your perspective, but a lot of like major label artists or the labels will be very specific to make sure like, I'll play me something with no sample. They don't even want to clear samples anymore.
They don't want to deal with that shit because they get hit hard, man. Like a major's gonna have to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? And they're gonna get hit because it's a major, and they know they got bread. So
it's different if the lawyer from Universal is reaching out as opposed to like.
It freezes up their whole project. Thank God now they just got to pull a song or two off a digital streaming site instead of pulling all the records off the fucking shelves. Mm-hmm. That shit was crazy.
A lot easier, yeah. Imagine having to go to every Zia Records.
500,000 records out of Tower Records and all that shit.
Did that happen before?
You've seen it happen with Biz. You've seen it happen with Truth Hurts with Dre with the Rakim song. That was a big Bollywood sample. Yeah. They put that shit out and that shit took that shit off the shelves. That's a lot of fucking money to eat. You're pulling a fucking million pieces of vinyl off the shelves.
I have a random question that I've always been curious about. On Obi Trice's album, his first album, there's the song We All Die One Day. Mm-hmm. Tony Yayo starts off shouting out Soul Assassins. Mm-hmm. And then, in my opinion, my favorite Eminem verse ever, he shouts out Be Real, Send Dog. What was the was there any sort of Soul Assassins connection with that song? Like, why was like Tony Yayo shouting y'all out?
Well, here's what it was, man. So that song was for the next Soul Assassin album.
Oh,
that's what that song was for. We had started it at that time, and and it was like, I don't know if I'm going to do another one at the time. And then Obi was working on his record, and Paul was like, hey, can we use it for Obi? When it's time to do yours, we'll do another one. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. Let's push it that way. But that's what that shit was for.
Crazy. So that was supposed to be on the next Soul Assassins album. Wow. When you heard Eminem's verse on that song, because I truly think it's the best Eminem verse ever, and I also think
he murdered it, bro.
I think it's the most underrated song of like that whole era of like G Unit, Shady Records. That song's so crazy.
The song was crazy. Yeah, we was managed by Paul for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So at the time, we was rolling thick, so everything was in house back then. So that's how that shit came
We just
about.
had Nems up here. Shout out to
Shout out to Nems. Yeah, I'm gonna go see him in New York next week. I love Nems.
He's great. He's just like kind of just vintage '90s like disrespect.
Yeah, all day long, man.
He told me a story. He was like, yeah, so his lyrics on his new album. I mean, his lyrics all the time are pretty crazy. But he was like, yeah, man. So like, me and Paul went to Spotify and we're in a room full of like people playing up the album. And he's like, that was the one time I felt really awkward because like I have a song where I'm talking about slapping the shit out of women, like if they disrespect it. And he's like, you could just see all the women in the meeting just like be like visually uncomfortable. And he's like, I had to stop it and be like, guys, this is all tongue in cheek. Like
That's the best.
That's that early 2000s, 90s energy,
Oh
man.
yeah, man. He came with it on this shit too, boy. It was good to hear it.
Yeah, for sure, man. What's your favorite song on the album, man?
Oh shit, I like them all, man. I think I went through periods where this was my favorite, then I recorded this one. This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite. So right now, man, I'm just out here just enjoying the fucking record.
Yeah, dude. Like, let's just be clear. You have Scarface on this album with Freddie Gibbs. You got Ev, Domo Genesis, Jay Worthy. I mean, this is crazy. Method Man and Slick Rick. How do you get Slick Rick on a record in 2023?
Just be patient, man. Just be patient. I reached out to it's like pretty much, man. The homies all came through. I reached out and said, Rick, we're doing this. He's a fan.
Yeah,
he's a fan of mine.
As he should be. Yeah,
and he plays Jump Around every night in the show. It's like one of his favorite songs ever. So when I reached out and let him know what I was doing, he's like, yeah, I got you. Where's the beat? I gave him the beat, and I had Method Man on it already. And that was probably like 2 years ago that song was being done, man.
I want to say one of the first singles was the record with Be Real, Ren, and Cube.
Right.
And I remember seeing that and being like, yo, you don't see MC Ren's name anywhere anymore.
Nah.
Like that's a big deal to get him and Cube together on a song in 2023.
Yeah.
Especially with Be Real. Like, if you just think about, like, LA hip hop, like, that's a crazy combination.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what do we do with this, man? Like B-Real was on. Like, where do we go with this song right here? And I was just like, yo, let's get Cube and Ren and Dre and Snoop. And Snoop was gonna do it. It's just timing. You know what I mean? I just wanted Dre to talk in the intro. He's like, I got you, but the timing. And I was like, I got to turn this shit in now. But I got to get me next time.
For you, man, I feel like your production style is so unique, and it like I feel like you there's producers these days I feel like have kind of lost the sense of like style. At least the bigger ones, like I feel like a lot of these guys' beats are kind of interchangeable. Like you could tell me that it was produced by this person or this person. You're like, oh yeah. But I feel like DJ Muggs, your shit is so like you have your signature sound. Like, and I'm just curious, like when you first started making beats, what was like your, like, where did you draw inspiration from, man? Like,
well, first, coming up, man, you had to be different and have your own style. You was whack. You couldn't even use a sample somebody used. If you did, you was garbage. And
so you had to find your own samples, like
original samples.
Like
if somebody
we're
used
really
it already,
digging, yeah.
Those drums, they use those drums. There was something about that. You know what I'm saying? And even for Cypress, man, the way we dressed, the slang, we have our own slang. Dress, have our own look, have our own musical style. So all that was important. You was whack. You was a biter. So for me, I grew up with a lot of classic rock around, and my mom was in the Motown, so I had a lot of psychedelic classic rock fucking influences, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix. But with hip hop, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, and then everything Marley Marl did. Every single Marley Marl that came out with back in those days, it seemed like he was reinventing the game with every fucking single. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you heard The Bridge, and then you heard Poison,
right.
And then you heard Raw, and you was like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I'm saying? And then everything Larry Smith did, Ultramagnetics, Boogie Down Productions, like all that shit right there was like, all that like mixed up in gumbo, and then going through my filter and spit it back out.
Well, I was gonna say too, like you were very like engaged with what was going on in New York too, for being a West Coast guy.
Yeah, I grew up in New York. I moved here when I was 12, and then I would always go back. I would always stay out there. I had an apartment out there for like 15 years.
Yeah,
I would always be in New York.
You guys did the second Cypress Hill album in New York?
Album.
Yeah.
Because back then you blow up, and then it's just too much shit going on. Friends, shit, everybody hanging out. It's like, let's go over here with just us, locked in a room by ourselves. Like,
yeah, I'm sure you guys in LA after that first album, the studio sessions, you couldn't help but be distracted.
And you couldn't. And everybody was busy. There's all these new people around and this and that and millions of dollars, and we're 21 years old. So it was like, let's go to New York, and it's just us getting up, going to the studio, back to the crib, back to the studio. That's all we did.
That shit's fire, man.
And we knocked that shit out in a month. We knocked that record out in a month. The label was like, we need that shit now. So we went in and knocked it out right quick. I suppose the first record took like 3-4 years. It was our whole life, up to that point. And the second one, I think some of the songs even came out before. I think we only did 8 songs, new ones, because we had Hand on the Glock had already came out. A to the K came out on White Man Can't Jump soundtrack.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There was a couple interludes on there, so, you know, some of that shit had came out already, but that shit was fucking, and then SoundScan was brand new when that record came out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot SoundScan wasn't around. Like,
just came out like in between our first and second album.
No, it's crazy too, because I just think like in terms of like, you know, for whatever reason, I feel like somehow Cypress Hill gets like overlooked when we talk about like GOAT conversations, like greatest groups of all time. I mean, I feel like if you grew up in LA or you grew up on the West Coast, you understand. But I feel like for whatever reason, you guys are not underrated, but somehow underrated. Does that make sense? Like you guys are still doing festivals. It's, I mean, platinum records, but I still feel like for whatever reason, like we got to bring up that name in the mix more when we talk about the greatest groups of all time.
Right. Yeah, man, I don't know. Shit, I can give a fuck. You know what I mean? What we set out to do, we're doing it. You know what I mean? So that's all I give a fuck about. So
how did you end up getting with House of Pain back in the day? Before, because I knew you guys had a little falling out for a sec, but
it was an accident, man. Like I was dating this girl that actually was cousins of Everlast's DJ, and I would go over there and he'd be at the crib, and I'd be like, all right. And the Cypress demo, we were signed already, but the album, I had the album on a red cassette, and I gave it to her, but the album didn't come out for 6 months. So the next time I went over there, a couple times, Everlast was there. And he was listening to the tape. He's like, yo, we got to get in the studio. I was like, nah, I'm good, man. And after 3 or 4 times, I was talking to B-Real, and B-Real was like, man, just fuck with him. I was like, all right. So I went in and did Put Your Head Out at the crib, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Then the homies was bumping it, and then I was like, I got this song called Jump Around. So I had already recorded it with Son Doobie. I recorded it with Daddy Freddie from Ragamuffin Hip Hop, and I had a song, I had the hook. He came in and wrote the shit, and I was like, now rewrite it with that cadence right there. And he wrote the shit, and then we had the joint. And
to one of the greatest party songs of all time.
Shop the deal, man. I know Funkmaster Flex wanted to sign us at Priority Records for like, I think it was like 55, 60 G's. He had special ed over there at the time.
I didn't even know Funk Flex worked at Priority.
Yeah, he was A&R.
Crazy.
And then it was weird because Monica Lynch over at Tommy Boy wanted to sign us. And so I went and had a meeting with her, and she was Irish. So she's like, this reminds me of my family. This is like my brothers would go to church, then they go to the bar and get drunk and fight. So she got it right off the bat, you know what I mean? So she signed us. She gave us like $300 back then. And then I hooked them up with our management. The guys who did our pictures, I hooked them up with those guys, and David Perez, who did our video, I hooked them up with them. So it was pretty much the formula.
So you kind of just take, here's our formula, run with it.
And
it worked.
Work with it like a motherfucker.
Like a motherfucker. Yo, I always wondered, so there was like this era, I'm really close with Dilated Peoples and Rocka and Ivor Science and Babu, and obviously shout to Ev.
They're the best. Hell yeah.
I love those guys. They really opened my world, my taste in a whole nother way, to like digging into like different shit that I was into at the time. But I remember as a kid, there was the random, because you were close, like you were cool with Paul, obviously, right? You're cool with M. But then there's like this weird beef between like Dilated Peoples, Everlast, and Eminem. Did you ever try to like bring those guys together?
Nah, it was weird, man. I think Everlast, from what I remember correctly, you know, don't quote me here, but I think Everlast seen M on the elevator, and M just didn't say nothing to him. But M's like, he didn't look the same.
Right.
M didn't realize that he
didn't realize who he was, maybe. Right.
And M was a fucking Everlast fan, you know, from what I hear. So Everlast just, you know, I don't know what happened. Then he wrote some shit about him.
Yeah, and then I remember there was like the Dilated shit, and then Evidence had a song called Searching for Bobby Fischer. So I was just wondering, because you were kind of like, it felt like kind of like Switzerland. You might have, you know, I didn't know if you tried to put a call in.
Nah, I just figured all that, y'all fucked up.
Yeah,
like, you're fucking with them. Like, good luck with that shit, man.
Good
you know
luck.
What I mean? Like, even why? But I don't even think I heard the Dilated song ever.
Yeah, there was an Evidence song called Searching for Bobby Fischer that was.
I don't think I heard that one. No, but I had
a Napster hit.
Yeah, so I brought Paul. I remember when I met Paul, I flew him out to LA to meet with me, and I had a barbecue to manage Cypress, and he came out here, and that's how I met Paul, because Theo was my lawyer, and I was like, yo, I need a new manager, bro. And he's like,
what year was this?
Before Rock Superstar album. So it was like 2000, 99, 99. And he's like, yo, I got this lawyer. He's got an ear like me, and he's managing this artist Eminem. Eminem didn't blow up yet.
Right. Yeah, it's early.
I was like, all right, flew his ass out, had a barbecue, and locked in with Paul.
What was it labeled like? Why did you guys do a rap superstar and a rock superstar difference?
Because check this out. So we was up at Columbia, and now we're going into the fifth album. So we'd go to the urban department.
That was the album after Dr. Green Thumb or before?
After.
After. That's right. Okay.
It was like, yeah, that was four. That was our fifth album
okay.
now. So we go up to the label and was like, all right, let's do this marketing plan. I go to the urban department. It was like, no, you guys are alternative. Like, no, we ain't. So we go up to the next floor, and they was like, oh, no, you guys are the urban department, and they don't work together, and everybody's passing the buck. Nobody wanted to do their fucking job, and I was like, you fucking pieces of shit. Check this out. I'm gonna give you all a rock song and a rap song. So now, what's your fucking excuse?
Now you can work one to each.
You got one. So I did. We had a song called "Can't Get the Best of Me" and "Rap Superstar," and then I walked into the meeting with Donnie Einer, and he was like, no, this is the single. We're not doing a rock song. This is the single. I'm putting all the money behind this one. I was like, oh, fuck, this ain't going to work. So I went in the studio a couple days later and did the remix for Rock Superstar.
Wow, okay. Got to stop the interview real quick to tell you about our good folks at Blue Chew, baby. That's right. Shout out to Blue Chew, man. Listen, everyone's always asking me, does Blue Chew work? Of course it works, because it has the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis. It is dick season out here, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that dick is up to par. You get on that Blue Chew, and you're going to never, I'm going to be honest, you remember when Barry Bonds hit 70 home runs in a season, and now they're not letting him in the Hall of Fame? You get off that Blue Chew, they're not going to let you in the Dick Hall of Fame because it's cheating, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So BlueChew.com, use the promo code Bootleg when you sign up. Now, this is what's dope about Blue Chew, because you want to know if it works. Well, they're going to send you a month for free. Free Blue Chew in discreet packaging, delivered right to your door, but you have to use the promo code Bootleg. BlueChew.com, promo code Bootleg. Everything's online. No doctor's office visits. No worrying about fucking having a weird conversation with some dickhead about your fucking dickhead. No. You fucking BlueChew.com, free month, online. You don't even have to leave your fucking apartment. You don't have to leave anywhere. You just order it. It comes in the mail. And then, you get to work. You get to work, all right? So use that promo code Bootleg and get a free month of Blue Chew. Also want to give a big shout out to our good folks at Odd Socks. Now, this is what's up about Odd Socks. I'm about to reach into my Odd Socks bag. Oh, man. Look, Odd Socks, they got all of the fucking sick licenses. Recently, they locked down Coca-Cola. Recently, they locked down fucking Transformers, Saban, Power Rangers. We got Yoo-Hoo. We got Sour Patch Kids. They got their Odd Socks basics, and I'm telling you, the most comfortable socks in the world. In the fucking world, all right? And they can all be yours. 20% off. 20% off using the promo code Bootleg if you go to oddsocksofficial.com. The most comfortable socks in the world. And they got draws. And these draws are amazing. This is a small, just so we're clear. This is a small. Yeah. Yeah. Chicks can wear these, A lot of chicks like wearing these booty shorts around the crib and shit. Oddsocksofficial.com, whatever you're into. They got the license, WWE, Scarface, fucking Breaking Bad, whatever. Oddsocksofficial.com, promo code Bootleg. Go over there, get 20% off right now. Let's get back to the interview. And, because coming from the radio side, I've done radio my whole life. And like you said, there's some times where there'll be a record. There was a shout to I have a friend, Yellow Wolf, who had a song, and he put a song out through Shady called Let's Roll, but Kid Rock was on the hook. So he ran into that issue where he was a hip-hop artist, but they're like, we don't know what to do with this.
Because, it's like hip-hop inspired, but it's like we grew bigger than hip-hop. We just became our own thing,
For sure.
We got so big and just harnessing that rock and roll energy, like I said, Public Enemy, LL, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, you know what I mean? And just coming from that DNA, from that side. And so that's why I was like, all right, here's something from both of y'all. But both of y'all can work, and nobody's can complain and point fingers, because the record before, they dropped the ball because nobody was working it, because nobody wanted to do their fucking job and pointing fingers.
Right.
So I was like, maybe this is the way around it. And plus, at that time, I was seeing all these whack motherfuckers that couldn't really rhyme, but they was rapping on rock shit where they sounded decent, and they was having these big careers.
What year was that?
99, 2000.
So that was very much. That was very much the the era of that happening.
So then I was,
For
and
sure.
the other layer to that shit was me like, oh yeah, I could do this shit too. Watch
Yeah.
me do some rock shit, and let me bang on y'all motherfuckers with this shit. And then at the same time, I produced some shit for Pearl Jam and Sonic Youth.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? And some different rock bands, just to like, let me see what I can do, and just
I didn't know you did some with Pearl Jam. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Shout out to Pearl Jam. Yo, you guys were a part of like some of the crazy. You know, I always tell people like there was festivals, and like people think of festivals these days, but I feel like festivals in like the late '90s, early 2000s were like extremely like different.
yeah, everything was different.
The drugs were really out
The
there.
90s was the shit, man. It
was
was like, it was one of the
crazy.
best times, period, man. I'm blessed to be able to be in that time, and then also this new time with all this new technology. Just to
For sure.
be able to be in an analog world and this digital world.
and be
you know what I mean?
relevant in both. But I was gonna ask you, what is like the craziest crowd where you guys were performing and you just looked out and you were like, what the fuck is going on?
A couple
here?
times. One of them was the Reading Festival. We was the first rap group to ever headline Reading. You know, 150,000.
Crazy.
Just looking at that, and then motherfuckers with the soccer chants,
Yeah.
and everybody with the flags. You know what I mean? It just looked like some revolution shit. And then it was probably the '93 Woodstock. 93 Woodstock, 550,000 people. They had to fly us into a helicopter because the traffic was fucking 5-hour traffic jams.
Yeah, I just watched the '99 Woodstock documentary, which looked insane.
Yeah.
'93 had to be crazy.
93 was
Half a
crazy as
million
fuck.
people.
500,000 people, bro.
Do you remember who was on the bill with you?
I think Santana was after us, and because we were in and out, there wasn't
Yeah.
even dress rooms. It was
There's not. Yeah, we don't want y'all hanging out. Just in and out.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the only one I remember.
That's fucking crazy, man.
But Lollapalooza was popping off back then.
Yeah.
Smoking Groove tours. We did every Smoking Grooves, pretty much like 5 of them in a row.
Yo, has there ever been like somebody who's for whatever reason escaped you in terms of someone you want to work with? Because I feel like you've worked with so many people.
Nah, man, I'm all about building, man. Like even with Cypress, I was like, I never wanted to be a producer where like me coming up was dependent on somebody else's success.
Right.
So I was like, we was always about build our own shit, no guest appearances, our own shit, do our own shit. You know what I mean? And even now, I like newer artists, like working with a TF,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like when Rome Streets. When I first met
Streets
Rome,
is crazy.
You know, Rome's fucking booming. You know, pre-Gazelda days, and just finding these youngsters, I get more excitement out of that shit. You know, but. Nah, I think probably Sade. You know what I mean?
Sade would be
I'd want to work
insane.
with Sade, but there's nobody that anybody else I'm not really tripping on.
Did you ever get close to do anything with Hove?
Nah, I never. Don't even think I met him.
Crazy. That's crazy. You would think. For you, because you've been doing a lot of full collab albums, I think back to like one of the first producer MC albums to me that I kind of just heralded like very high in my life was the first album you did with the Jizza album. Was it Masterminds?
Grandmasters.
Grandmasters, yeah. Crazy body of work, but you've still done like you've done such a good job of like doing these like fully, cohesive collaborative albums with other artists. I feel like a lot of people are kind of doing that now as well.
100%. They wasn't on it like that. They wasn't on it.
But
back-
you're kind of to me like
back
you're
in
the
them
first
days.
guy who really kind of did that.
Yeah, they're doing versus records. You
Yeah.
know, Jizza, Asia, Ill Bill. We did back in like 2003, I think it was, something like that, 04. Yeah, me and Jizza always clicked, man. From the first day we got in the lab, we always clicked, man. And it was just everything was smooth and easy, and we just kept communicating all through the times, and just kept in touch. And then we got together and did Grandmasters. But it was a weird time because at that time it was right after Napster, and the whole ass fell out the music industry.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we went from selling underground records, 250,000 records, to selling fucking 5,000 records. So it was before YouTube. It was before Spotify. It was before Apple Music.
Yeah.
And then the music, the records weren't selling. So there was like this 3 or 4 year period where we was like, what the fuck's going on, bro?
How do we monetize this?
Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
It was a weird ass time, you know what I mean? So all I know is you just stay consistent and just keep going. That's the one thing about my crew, man. From me, Al, Cartoon, Estevan, Cypress, we just never stopped.
Yeah.
We just never stopped through it all.
I was going to ask you, what is something that because you're obviously, like you said, there was that point in time where you've been a part of every, for the most part, era of hip hop in terms of like the way the business is, right? Like you guys first came on when SoundScan hit. Now fast forward.
80s. My first group, you got to remember, was 783.
I didn't know that.
1988. Like my first gold record was Colors. 783, Madman World in the movie Colors. So
Wow.
I signed with 783 in '88, and we was signed to Rush Management.
Shout out to Russell, yeah.
And we're doing stadium tours. We're opening
Crazy.
up for Salt and Pepper, opening up for Hammer, opening up for Tony.
You opened up for
Today.
MC Hammer?
Yeah, we was on the tour with Hammer, Tony, and Today.
What's
And
the
then
MC Hammer tour like back then?
stadiums, crazy as fuck.
But, like, I don't think people understand. Like, he was like a fucking like pop star for real.
Super,
I have
like-
an MC Hammer Barbie though.
I'm talking-
It's right there.
I'm talking- I'm
you
not-
see my MC Hammer Barbie sitting down?
Yeah, I'm talking, 25,000 people a night and it's doing stadiums, man. And then Salt and Pepper, Kwame was on the tour.
Wow.
So, just being young. And then I would come back to Cypress, and like I'm 18, 19, and I was like, yo, figuring this music shit out, fellas. You know what I mean? So 783 really taught me about the music business. And I just brought all that fucking knowledge back to Cypress because there was no Google or
Right.
no, even to learn to DJ, I had to go to the club and watch the DJ and fucking listen to the radio. That's how I learned. There was no Scratch Academy or no shit.
Right. None of that. You just had to really just learn on the job.
Just watch
Watch
and
and
try to
learn.
remember and figure it out.
I always heard MC like everyone always says Hammer's like a real ass dude for real. Like he's certified. Like but you also hear like he always had like a big entourage with him.
Oh, he had a big ass entourage.
Yeah.
Like you'd come on the stage with your little hype man and maybe one little dancer, and he'd come out with like 16 dancers.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? And a hype man that was like Little John back then.
Yeah.
Like screaming and shit, talking shit. So yeah, that was crazy, man. It was a good experience to have those tours, And then with Cypress, like I already knew what's gonna happen. I was like, the success is waiting for us in the future. We just got to get to it, fellas.
I was gonna say for you though, what are the things that you could give advice to somebody who's an independent artist, maybe has like a modest following? How can they really monetize music now? Because I feel like it's not what it used to be. Streaming doesn't pay the greatest.
Well, you got to build a career, man. So I think you got to tour. You got to go do shows, man. Even if you're not getting paid, you go play in front of 9 people.
Yeah.
Always do underplays. The next time you play in front of 20. Next
Yeah.
time you play in front of 35.
Yeah.
In 2 years, there'll be 150 people there.
Yeah.
So the energy of the shows, make sure you have your merch and you're doing your pop-ups and you're live on social media talking to your people, and then doing your streaming and be consistent. And I think all that shit together, you put that together and you stay consistent, you build a career. Some motherfuckers just want to like stream shit. And maybe they might get a show in New York, and then that's it.
Flash in a pan shit.
Or you might get a show, and then they get money there, but they don't want to go do shows in other cities because there's no bread. But I was like, you got to go plant the flag, bro.
You gotta build the fan base.
You got to go build it.
I always tell people like just because you have a big song doesn't mean you have a big following. Like,
don't mean
there's
shit.
There's people who have platinum records that can't sell a fucking concert ticket.
Period.
Like,
And that's going to tell you what fans you really have, man. Is it like, are you actually getting streams because you have features? Mm-hmm. Or are you getting streams because you have fans that really love you? And then that's going to translate to those people will come out and
they'll support you. They'll buy the T-shirt.
all the way
They'll buy
across.
the hoodie. They'll buy the vinyl.
So a lot of that shit's it's a little pumped up, you know what I mean, when you got a lot of features on your records, because you'll see you can't sell a hard ticket you can't even sell a hard ticket in your city. You can only get on shows with motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, tell me the story on how you and Alchemist met and how he became a part of the Soul Assassins.
I met
crew.
Al when he was like 13. I had this manager, and they was like, hey, you want to make a lot of money? And I was like, well, what are you talking about? So we got this little rap group. 2 little white kids from Beverly Hills. And I was like, get that bullshit the fuck out of here.
The other dude was James Caan's son?
Yeah, I didn't meet him. I didn't see him. I was just like, the concept of that shit was like, were you trying to do like a crisscross?
Yeah, but a white crisscross.
Baby
like
House
a
of Pain. I was
Yeah.
like, so I think they ended up bringing him to Be Real, and Be Real worked with him. But then I met Al, and I was like, oh, this kid's cool as fuck. He reminds me of me. Like just tenacious fucking worker. Like worker and just the love and the fucking, and smart and just work and just on point. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this kid access and let him be around. And then like, I'm gonna just cut all this shit you have to go through and just put you right here. You with the biggest group in the world now, in the studio, going on tour, hanging out, you know what I mean? And just like give him access, because I knew all he needed to do is be around it. He's such a fucking smart kid and such a sponge. He'll figure it out, you know what I mean? Just give him access to the shit.
Was he always wanting to step away from rapping and just focus on producing?
When I met him, he didn't make beats yet.
Okay.
And then when he did, that first time they wasn't.
They weren't.
He
I mean,
was,
of
he
course.
was learning.
Yeah,
you know,
he was learning.
He was a real Premier fan, and it was just like, some C-level Premier like kid shit. And he was just, I'd be like, nah, that's not it, bro. But you knew, like, I always knew Al has that it thing, that special fucking thing. Like he's just whatever Al decided he wanted to do, he was going to be successful in it. You know what I mean? He's just that smart and that fucking that much of a hard worker, and that got that much focus. So, you know, we just put him under my wing. It's like, you know, he starts seeing how albums are made, how studio sessions are run, you know, and the little tricks, the little behind the shit, going on tour with us, carrying the crates and shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're on fucking big festival tours. You know what I mean? At fucking 15 years old, leaving school.
Yeah, crazy. And then eventually, you know, now he's Alchemist, Grammy nominated.
God, he's the illest in the game right now, man.
I agree, man. I was just saying, like, his like last couple year run has been like, it's so crazy. Like, think about the stuff he's done with Boldy, with Freddie. Like, he's just been just relentless.
He hasn't done nothing different. He's been working this hard all these years. It just, you know, it's just timing. It's the perfect storm. You know, it's like the way the music is, and the way what we like, the culture's growing, and then just the right artist at the right times with all the momentum he's built up over the years. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to ask you, your production process, how much has it changed over the years? Because back in the day, everybody would have their go-to equipment. Nowadays, like, I'll like know guys who I never ever thought would touch like a digital platform, like who will only be on Ableton or they'll only be on Pro Tools. Like, what is your process like?
It was the same for me, man. I was using the SP12. I moved over to the MPC, and then I wanted to do some electronic shit for fun. And I was like, how do you do this shit? And I can't do it on this shit. I got to learn this fucking computer. And I was the last motherfucker, bro, to fuck with the computer.
Like, you were hanging on to
I was hanging on a 2-inch everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck it. So I just took a year and just worked on some electronic music, and just took a year and just worked on the machine until I figured out, like, oh, I can get my sound out of this thing. Because it turned into a lot more sound designing and, you know, getting into the fucking the effects.
Yeah, there's plugins for everything. Yeah,
and then not having to have a big studio and learn everything and fucking plugging everything in, and just having it right there at my fingertips. I was like, actually, it started getting fun again for me. Like, super fun again, you know. And then my daughter got to a certain age where I was like, oh, I don't gotta fucking be there all the time. So, you know, it was like 6 years ago is when I was like, oh, it's about me again now. It's my time.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are raised. Shit's all good. All right, y'all. I love everybody, but it's my time. I'm gonna be greedy now. It's the most freest I've ever been.
Dive
you know
in,
what I mean?
dive right back in.
And so I think we've done 34, 35 projects in the last 6 years.
All right, we got to stop the interview real quick. Tell you about our folks at MyBookie, our partners at MyBookie. Man, listen, football season is approaching. It is preseason right now. I can feel it. Just had my first fantasy draft. It's time to get this fucking money. NFL is here. Go to mybookie.ag right now. Sign up for a new account. Use the promo code Bootleg right now. When you sign up, they're going to give you that first deposit bonus. Now, MyBookie's crazy because no matter where you're at, you can go on, you can get in on some of that NFL action. You can get in on some of that baseball action. You can get in on their live casino, blackjack, roulette, slots, whatever you're into, it's going down. MyBookie.ag, all right? Sign up right now with that promo code Bootleg. They're going to hook you up real nice. First deposit bonus. Free money to gamble with, bro, when you sign up. What are we talking about? Football season is here. This is literally my favorite time of the year as a degenerate. We must participate. We got to get a little action in every Sunday on something. Maybe a little Thursday night football action. Maybe a little preseason action. Who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl? Throw 100 on it. Fuck it. Sign up, mybookie.ag. Use that promo code Bootleg, and they're going to get you hooked up with that first deposit bonus. Also, want to give a big shout out to our family at King Palm, man. Want to give a shout out to King Palm. They have the Sugar Sean. First of all, congratulations to Phoenix, Arizona's own Sugar Sean for just winning that title with UFC. They did a collab with them. These are the Sugar Punch Honey Orange pre-rolls, which are gas. All right, now this is what's dope about King Palm. 100% organic, all right? We're talking about no tobacco, organic leaves, and what's dope is they have these terpene-infused tips that people just love, bro. They're called the flavor tips, right? You you bust one of these boys out, you know what I'm saying? You fill it with your stuff, whatever you want to smoke, some of that flour that you got from Hardin, and then you hit the tip, and man, oh, I just tasted it right now. Just flavor, full of flavor. Now, go to kingpalm.com right now. Use the promo code Bootleg, and you're going to get half off. Half off whatever's on kingpom.com. If you don't know, King Palm is everywhere. Go to your local smoke shop. Go to your local 7-Eleven. They got King Palms everywhere. So many flavors. So many vibes. The grapes are gas. Yo, kingpalm.com. Use the promo code Bootleg. 50% off. Let's get back to the interview. I was gonna say, for you, you've done so many joint projects with artists. If you had to give me, don't tell me your favorite, but if you had to give me, outside of the Cypress shit, what's been like 2 or 3 that stick out in your mind in terms of like your favorite collaborative projects you've done?
Man, it's a lot of them. I just enjoy what I enjoy, man, is just the working with people. You know, you got to be a cool motherfucker because sit in the fucking studio with you for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we gotta like each other.
I'd rather go walk my dog. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, you know, Mayhem. Every time I work with Mayhem, it's a fucking blessing.
He's great.
You know what I mean? I love working with May, man. TF, Rome, Worthy. You know, fucking all these motherfuckers is cool as fuck, man.
Who's at all the MCs you've ever worked with, who's the fastest when it comes to just the writing process?
It used to be MC8, and then now I went in with Cassius one time, and me and Cassius did 4 songs in like a few hours, and then Crime Apple came in and did like 6 songs in 4 hours, I think, when I first met him.
Damn.
And what was cool about Crime is he was supposed to go back to New York, and then it was like he came to my radio show, and I was like, yo, if you want to come jump in the lab tomorrow. He was like, I'm supposed to go home, but I'm staying. So he stayed, did the radio show, and you know, now we've done a couple albums and traveled the world together.
That's amazing. For you, what has changed about, because being on the road, you've seen kind of all facets of that as well. Is it still fun for you to go out and do shows and see the fans in person?
Yeah, I do it more limited, you know, like I still have a good time though.
Yeah.
I still have a good time. Like, cause I don't have to do it, but like I like to do it. So when I want to do it, I'm like, okay, this 3 weeks, I'm gonna go do shows, and you know, a couple times a year, I'd grab a month and go do some shows.
Yo, when you guys were doing like the early Cypress Hill shit, were you guys like on any psychedelics back in the day?
Shrooms.
Shrooming? Would you say like, because I don't know if you've noticed, but shrooms are kind of becoming like the
They're
new
the
weed.
thing right now.
They're
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
thing right
I see
now.
that. No, we was on that shit in the 80s, man.
It's crazy
You know
to see it. It's like normalized. Like it's like people like are like microdosing to go to work. Like every rapper wants shrooms. Like
Yeah, I never seen that coming.
ever.
They were always scared of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was funny because even back in the days, there was no pills in the hood. The pills was the rock and rollers was fucking with
Right.
the pills. They never seen pills in the hood ever. You know what I mean? Now everybody's popping pills.
I mean, stay away. Fentanyl.
No, there wasn't. None of that shit was around when we was kids. Like, man, nobody. We didn't even see pills, man. It was just weed and shrooms.
What, have you ever had a really bad trip on shrooms?
No, never had a bad trip.
That's good.
Never had a bad trip.
That's a good thing. Because you hear them bad trips is what scares everybody off.
Yeah, they do too much, man. You got to ease into that shit. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
ease into it. Do a little bit. Figure out. Get your footing. Figure out what works for you, and then do a little bit more, and do a little bit more if you want to go there. Otherwise, you know, even my first time, I ate an eighth. That's what the homie told you to do. Eat an eighth, and you fucking.
It's a pretty serious amount.
The fucking walls are melting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I wouldn't recommend anybody start
Go in
like
a full eighth.
Nah, I wouldn't do that.
I watched a couple of years ago when the Mr. Cartoon Estevan documentary came out. I think it was called LA Originals, right? It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Everybody should go watch it because I think it's really dope. Like for people to kind of see like just both of their come ups and like how integral into like hip hop both of them are. I just remember the Mr. Cartoon era of rap. I just felt like everyone had the tattoos, like. But for you, kind of coming up with those guys and like you're very much a part of their story. How dope was it to see like them get their flowers with that documentary?
Check it out, man. Like for me, man, seeing my team win is the dopest shit for me.
Yeah.
To see where they come, because all my motherfuckers is killers. You know, like to see Al, you know, from being 14 years old to what he's doing is like amazing for me. To see Cartoon, to Stevan, like Stevan was working at the door of a club, but I knew him, and he didn't get high. He was always on point. And I was like, hey man, I was like, yo, I need a road manager for this new group. He goes, what is a road manager? I go, it's easy, I'll teach you. I got this new group called House of Pain. You want to be the road manager? He was like, fuck it. So he started being the road manager. You know, when he was on the road, his dad was like, hey son, here's a camera, document your time on the road. And then we'd have photographers taking pictures that would charge us $30,000 for some trash.
Jesus.
And I was like,
30,000?
yeah, the budgets were crazy. And I was like, oh man, fuck these dudes. You know what? You take the pictures, homie. Let the homie get the check. And that's how he started shooting us.
Wow.
And that's what the whole soul assassin shit was, is to build our own economy and just hire each other.
Hire within.
Anytime we hired these other motherfuckers and put them in a position to win, they would never come back and return the favor. You know what I mean?
And those were the era, that was like the era where like labels were just like getting, like they were like you said, a $30,000 budget for a photographer is insane. Right, so you would be like, you would always hear these stories about like labels, like you'd get your invoice or your.
Oh yeah, they didn't care.
Like,
it's your money. They're spending your money, so they don't
spending
care.
your money that you have to recoup, and they, you know, so
and they know
like,
they're going to recoup it because you're selling 4 million records. So
crazy. So you, like you said, you like a lot of the shit you would see on some of these like spreadsheets. You'd be like, wait, we paid this much for this? Like, what the fuck?
And a lot of artists don't even look.
I got a homie that could do it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of artists don't look.
They let the managers and everything, and everybody else is just, as long as they get their cut, they're just skimming. They're getting paid off top anyway. So a lot of times they don't give a fuck. But yeah, it was a lot of that shit, man. So, and then you know, so that started happening with Estevan, and then Cartoon came along a little bit later, and then, you know, we first started letting Cartoon do shit for us around our 5th album, like Rock Superstar album. That was the first time he touched our shit.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, but he was right there with us the whole time. And then, you know, when I'd go on tour, because I met Paul, and then we're opening up for M, doing the anger management tour. 50 had just came out within the club, so it was 50, Exhibit, Eminem, Cypress Hill.
I went to that tour.
Did you?
Yeah. I was a child, and
shit.
I got backstage, and I met Saphir. Saphir, I think, was on the road with Exhibit at the time. I think so.
Yeah, I think they was fucking around back in the day.
Yeah. And I was like, because at the time, my best friend's brother's Rocca, right? So like we had the Liquid Crew. Rocca he linked us with Exhibit. So we would always be like, oh yeah, it's Rock's little brother. You know what I mean?
Oh, killer, yeah.
So I remember we snuck our ass backstage at the Phoenix tour date of that anger management tour. That was a crazy.
So we bring Cartoon because, you know, you're sitting backstage for fucking 5-6 hours.
People want to get blasted, yeah.
So boom, just set him up backstage, and he got everybody in that whole tour, I think.
He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Took an opportunity and did what he was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
A lot of motherfuckers get those opportunities.
I got for the motherfuckers who won, I got a list of fools who just sat around smoking weed and drinking and then complaining later. Complaining that they didn't. I was like, bro,
I'm gonna put you in a situation
that's
where
it.
I'm not gonna fucking force you to
I'll
do
put you in the game.
Come on,
run
man.
the ball, fool.
100%.
That's it.
100%. What do you do outside of music these days for fun, for recreation? Like, what is your
work out, man? Muay Thai, hit the bags, go hiking, fucking. Business. I got like 5-6 different businesses, you know, and just fucking holidays with the family, you know what I mean? Go shooting, just a bunch of different shit with the homies.
I just got, I want to say last year, I got a bunch of Cypress shit sent to me in the mail. Because didn't you guys put out?
Was it 30th anniversary type shit?
Yeah, the anniversary shit.
First album, yeah.
I got I think I got a rolling tray. I got like a disposable camera. I got a bunch of cool shit. You guys obviously have been more active recently as a group than in past times. What is the current situation in terms of like any new music coming out, or is that something that you guys?
Me and Beaver recorded, I think, about 4 songs last year, but just nothing, no talks about nothing really right now. You know what I mean? Just a lot of road shit. We're putting together something called the Cypress Experience, where you'll come in, it'll be all like future tech, 3D, and you know the shit in those big ass domes.
Yeah.
They
got one downtown LA, Wonder Dome.
Yeah, I went to I think Daft Punk went downtown.
Yeah.
Daft Punk had a sick one.
Yeah.
So we're putting some like an immersive Cypress Experience.
That'd be fire. That'd be
it's
fire.
Like I want to take what they're doing a step further and, you know, have it 3D and have it take you to little metaverse.
Is it crazy like to see your guys' because I was thinking about this the other day because I'm like, you guys have so many like crazy stories and like wrinkles to your guys' careers as a group and also just solo wise. Would you guys ever do like a Netflix or Straight Outta Compton type of movie but surrounding Cypress?
So the thing,
or
I
maybe
think,
series or
I
something?
think what we're talking about is the Soul Assassins, because then I could tell a full Cypress story, and I could tell a full Mug story, and a Be Real, and a Alchemist, and a cartoon, and Stevan, and everything else. So I think that would be something. I think that can even go further.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But yeah, we're in the process right now working with Sony on an animated series. So.
Oh shit, that'd be crazy. That's dope, man. It's been dope to just see you just turning up, Be Real's turning up, doing dope content too. Like, it's just been dope to see, man. So the new album is out, Soul Assassins 3 Death Valley. The movie is the movie on YouTube?
The movie drops on the 13th.
Okay. September 13th.
Yeah, September 13th. Probably on Amazon. We're doing screenings all month. New York, San Francisco, Chicago. I just did Tokyo. They're gonna screen it in Europe, so we're just screening the movie all month.
You guys got a big fan base in Japan, right?
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's something crazy. Like I just watched this YouTube video. Like there's something about like parts of Japan where they're just like extremely infatuated with LA culture.
Oh, 1,000%. When you wouldn't, they look like the homies, lowriders and everything. You wouldn't even know. They think it's the homie from East LA,
right?
So you talk to them, you know what I mean? But yeah, when they do something, bro, they refine it to its simplest form, and they master the shit out of it and end up doing it better than you.
That's crazy.
It's their appreciation for everything they do, man. They just sit back and watch and refine the fuck out of it. Even the fashion, even their cotton, even their everything the fuck they do. You know what I'm saying?
So September 13th, the movie. Well, hey, which verse on this album did you have to wait the longest for?
Slick Rick.
Slick Rick.
About a year.
I had to guess Slick Rick or Scarface would be my guess.
Face was knocked it out in a week.
Really?
It's a bomb.
Shout out to Scarface.
Done.
Shout out to Brad Jordan, man.
That guy was like, damn, they were quick as fuck. Hit me on the phone. Hey, Muggs, what do you want? What are we going for on this? And I told him, he was like, okay, I got you. And then boom, send it like 2 days later.
That's fire, man. Anything coming out or anything that's in the can in terms of collab albums? I'm sure you got a few that are already finished or being worked on.
We got like about 16 projects in the work right now. But what we're going to drop first of the year is going to be a Mayhem record and a TF record. Those are going to probably be the first projects coming out.
Fire.
Like February, March.
Okay. Be on the lookout for those. Go get the album. The album is the who's who of just hip hop. My goodness.
Yeah, they all murdered that shit too, man.
You got a crazy lineup of, man, the track listing is unbelievable in 2023.
Yeah.
So you delivered, man.
Thank you, brother. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that. Thanks
DJ
for having me
Muggs.
up here, man.
The legend.
Yep.
Yes. Fire.
Brother.
Man, I appreciate you, brother.
Me too.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Hey, what up, man? You just watched another episode of the Bootleg podcast brought to you by Hardin, baby. Shout out to the family at Hardin. Don't forget, make sure if you're in Las Vegas, you get into that taxi. As soon as you land, you get into that Uber, say, take me to Hardin, all right? They're going to get you taken care of. The most craziest premium selection of cannabis you'll ever find under one roof. It's a vibe in there. The bud tenders, they're going to take care of you. Man, listen, tell them I sent you. They're going to get you right. Shout out to the family at Hardin in Las Vegas, the #1 dispensary in the world, all right? And we are so proud to be partners with them. So shout out to Hardin. Go follow them online, Hardin_Las Vegas, and check out their website, HardinLasVegas.com. Get you some swag. You can't buy this, but, shout out to Hardin.